Hello and welcome today to Not Just Ads, the creator economy for B2B. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Raúl Hernández. Raúl has been in the agency space and content space for a number of years. We connected a good few years back and then recently connected again. He is an expert in Clay, all things operations and processes now in AI in the agency space. He shares a lot of really insightful, useful content around that and how companies can leverage more AI in their agency. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to you today, Raúl. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Marcus, it's good to be on. I can't believe it's been 6 years already since we've...
Time flies. Different world as well now, right? So you've been in the agency space for quite a while. Do good work, right? Maybe you could just tell us where it all began, how you got into this and where you are now. Just to give the listeners a bit of an overview would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. In the agency space for over 10 years. I actually was working to start a software company over 10 years ago. That turned into the first agency. And that was back in Skype days, Slack and Skype. And I created a business with a co-founder from New York. I'm in San Diego. We never met in person, started a company. And then from there, that's where things took off. Really, that was the initial company first one that I did out of college. And I didn't want to grow it that way because I loved the digital marketing skill sets that I was developing and I wanted to do more of the work versus manage people or manage functions. So then we parted ways, closed the agency. Then I went with other digital marketing agencies from mergers to acquisitions. I helped lead teams like within 3 months. I was in the leadership team and then was supporting, and that was in the direct response ad side for Facebook ads. And that's where I really cut my teeth. And then from there, was able to work with a gentleman who was a prominent name in the space. And I was able from there to start leading mastermind groups, to training people, to seeing the back end of their businesses, literally thousands of people since then. And I like I mentioned, cut my teeth in direct response and understanding what does it take to convert leads from cold traffic? What does it take on the back end? And then from there, learning and growing, what does it take to run a business? I helped a gentleman. We almost tripled the team and revenue in a little bit over a year. I'm not saying that as a promise, just like what we did. And then a mentor of mine told me, hey, you should write that down. I'm like, why should I write it down? You should write it down. So that became the first book. And then I started doing more consulting and I started the company Do Good Work in 2018 and doing more consulting and supporting clients since then. And that's where I'm at. And obviously I run a consultancy and it does hybrid, like what looks like an agency. And we do a lot of sales and marketing and go-to-market strategy, et cetera. Lead gen, like the whole nine. But I also work with service companies, other consultants, other agencies, so that they can really reach their growth targets based on everything that I've done, the work that I've actually done, not hypothetically done.
Sure.
And that marries both sales and operations. So that's what at the table.
I was researching there some of your content and you were saying about like the business model you built before AI is expiring. And in the agency space, do you think like how, from what with the customers that you work with at the moment, that I'm assuming that many have been around pre-AI, obviously.
Yeah,
but
everyone, yeah.
How do you see that? Are they adopting in the AI world in terms of making their operations more efficient? What are the quick wins that people should be thinking about if there's agency owners listening or even people that have teams in operations as well?
So let's look at both sides. What is a business model composed of? And there's ingredients, but then what does it also look like to create an AI native company? I recently published actually the exact things that I'm doing to become an AI native consultancy. And I've done that transition here. Everything I do runs on an AI operating system. Like I'm in terminal, it's running things for me. I'm building out agents. They're doing work for me. But before, what is a business model? Business model is your value prop, what you deliver. So value never changes before AI. You can just now create more value for clients. But then a business model composes of your value prop, your customer segments, how you talk to them, how you reach them, how you acquire customers, how you price, your revenue, your profit margins by design. I've been preaching that, I don't know, for 2019, forget. I've been preaching that forever. People don't believe me. You can now design your profit margins depending on how you strategically price, position, brand, etc. On the other side of the business model is your key activities. What do you do for process operations, key relationships, customer and key partners, as well as your expense model. How do you actually track your overhead? What are the things that you're doing? So those are the components, the ingredients of a business model. If you just slap ChatGPT on top of that, you're not going to do anything. That's not really what how it changes the business model. We need to look at the components: value, delivery, growth, operations. In my opinion, this is actually part of the first book. There are 3 different parts of any business: your operations, administrative, strategy, people, finances. There's your product, what you actually do, deliver value, a lot of services or agencies. Then there's also your marketing and sales, how you acquire, how you retain, how you expand. lifetime value. A lot of people think, and then that's the business side. Then with AI, you think about, okay, cool. What do I do with AI? The first stage with anything is enhancement, using AI to enhance what you currently do. That's what everyone's doing right now. They open up a Claude, they open up their GPT, they enhance what they already are doing. You get time back. Sometimes you don't, because maybe you're doing more things now, but you essentially, the first metric, the easiest metric, and I'm talking, I had a guy from Vistage on my podcast. He's also seeing that executives at bigger firms, they're thinking time back. They're taking efficiencies. That's the first metric. That's like level 0. That's like the starting gate. Efficiency is great. Now, what do you do with that time back? There's a few things. 1, you can support your internal ops. And 2, you can increase value to clients. And this is where I think you can only experience this after you've gone through the 4 stages with AI. It's enhancement is stage 1. Stage 2 is augmentation, where it's not doing more. It's actually delivering your methodology and your IP at scale. Stage 3 is parallel operations. You're now working with team members and AI agents together to produce, to execute. And then the 4th stage is autonomy, where now it's predictively anticipating your needs before you even think about it, but you designed the system. I wrote a whole Substack about it. You can dive into it. Yes,
We can put a link on the show notes as well.
Yeah, so that's like a whole 6,000 word essay on it. I'll do a podcast for it too. But those are the 4 stages that I'm seeing, because I'm actually doing it. So I have 9 AI agents helping me out. That's a key thing. But when it comes to experiencing net new value, this is what I want to drive home for you and your listeners right now. Right now, you're delivering a service. That's great. You can identify how you can market stronger and reposition, but I want you to find, how do you create net new value? Net new value is things that you either couldn't do, or didn't have the time to do, or didn't have the technical capacity to execute, to deliver more value for your clients, for them to get to the end goal and state faster, more efficiently, or with a better experience. I'll give you a couple stories and examples, but let you respond to that, because I just dove into a lot.
I have loads and loads of questions here. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I have loads of questions, and it's really interesting. First of all, how do you see now, you were saying about value delivery growth, right? And obviously now you can set up your business on profit models and making sure, like obviously the unit economics and so on, that you can really analyze that. Let's say hypothetically, you're an agency, you've been around since 2018. AI is here now. What do you say to somebody that comes to you and says, look, we have our processes in place, and you're saying, okay, look, we can set up some agents that can actually do that. Do you think that it's very difficult then for agencies that have established processes in place to completely change, to go over to the AI model, which is running, as opposed to somebody starting from scratch on a completely clean slate? Do you see, like, the bigger the agency, the change management or the challenge that they face going from pre-AI to AI now to be at really full capacity of efficiency, like you mentioned?
Yeah, let me answer that with real weight and give you context of where I'm coming from. A former client, one of the fastest growing dev firms in Canada. Okay, that's number 1. And I still to date chat. So I'm seeing that in real time. Number 2, another client, consultant, supports large organizations, like tens of thousands of employees. Okay, thousands of employee organizations. And they're helping with the human side. Like, it's 2 data points. I know there's multiple more that I can bring up. I just want to give you real examples of what I'm about to say. It's not just hypothetical or BS. The tech side's the easy side. It's the human element that's the hardest for team adaptation and change management for execution. The guy that I had on, Jim from Vistage, he also has his Vistage groups, and I thought it was valuable to have him on the podcast because he's telling me what people don't reveal, like what's happening in the rooms that people don't really hear outside of the rooms. 8%, like 80%ish are bullish, all in, we need to do this. Managers below them, it's around the 50, I don't know. The actual frontline workers, low sentiment, actually looks at it as a threat, like around 30% actually want it implemented. So it's less of how easy it is. If you have all your ops dialed in and everything's cookie cutter, like you know exactly what's going to happen, everything's SOP'd out, dude, that's easy. The hardest part is the mindset of the leader, the manager, and the front end worker, because they think they're going to be replaced. Now, here's a real thing. This just happened last week. Benioff is saying that he's hiring thousands of college grads, and everyone's saying, oh, there's no more entry-level roles. He's counterintuitive in changing that. Why? Because he found net new value. He's at the forefront of it. You can only understand what I'm talking about with net new value if you go from enhancement to augmentation to parallel operations. Like right now, everyone's using their custom GPTs. Enhance, great. Then find a way to deliver your IP at scale and help clients deliver more value faster, and then start creating agents to co-run with you, then you're going to find out, oh crap, we can actually do more. We should be hiring. We should actually be expanding so that we should run more for more clients and increase our TAM. That's the narrative, but you only can, it's when you learn how to ride a bike. You can tell them how to ride a bike, but you can't share that visceral experience of riding that bike and what it feels like, how fun it feels like, the wind blowing. You can't tell them, but you can't share that feeling. You got to do it.
I can see even with my own agency, with the quick way you can do things of like certain research, even just integrations with other platforms. What I always am really curious is to see of like, when you try and build something bespoke, do you have a framework like you mentioned here about value delivery and growth? What do you see as additional value in terms of whether it's, we talked about efficiencies, but like when you talk about value and delivery to clients for agencies with AI now, what is the additional value that they're getting? Is it better quality work? Is it more, I don't know, like more in-depth analysis, better performance? Like from, I know you work across different sectors, but if you can think of anything of what are the standout things of the value that the end user is getting now versus what they weren't getting with AI, without AI, I should say.
Yeah, I'll share more about what I'm doing so you can see this for us, peel back the curtains as well as what I've done with clients. So what is net new value? So and I say the theory because this is the writing part, but I'll show practical. The theory is essentially, here's what you were able to do. Let's say you're running ads, front-facing ads. Okay, cool. What if you can actually help with the CRM integration? What if you can now help with the customer journey? If you can now help beyond that for your clients, like some of my clients right now? What if instead of just doing this, you can actually help clients get new funding, get new donors, get new revenue channels? This isn't theory. One of my clients is exactly doing that, actually several for the funding side. And I'll give you like on the back end. Right now, what I used to do pre-AI, I was just in enhancement mode. I would be able to audit team sales calls. Like when clients would bring me in, how do we grow? I would audit the team sales calls, review their gong and like the gong sales calls. I could listen to how many calls in a day, right? Now I was able to take my framework and enhance what I was doing to increase more. Great, that's cute. That's the beginning. But then now I'm able to do that and building the agents because I'm in autonomy and parallel operations now. I built out agents to be able to find based on the unique offer that we're doing, because I help clients redesign their offer and their team model to maximize their firm. Agents can now find, here are the exact people you need to be talking about based on real data points, based on what you're offering, based on what they're facing, so that your outreach becomes value. I'll give you a real example. One of the clients, manufacturing firm, global manufacturer, actually publicly traded. They were selling like $5 to $20 million packages. So then they don't need thousands of customers, new customers. And then when we were doing one of the campaigns, or we were looking at, hey, what are we going to do? It was during the tariff season on April 25. So the whole world was panicking. What's going on? What's going to change? And that for us was like really easy to get data. Like, okay, which companies are going to have their stock prices change? Which ones are going to have the most impact based on where they're actually like their locations are? Which ones makes the most sense strategically? And then the whole go-to-market strategy, a whole like account conquest plan, a whole dossier on the company, as well as here are the leads to talk to, here are the exact person to talk to, why to talk to them. And that now it's codified into agentic work that I can have for any firm that I work with to leverage that same learning to be able to help. Hey, how are we going to go to market with data versus here's a list that I pulled from Apollo. Let's hope it works.
No, it's really interesting. You touched on tech stack there as well, and I'd be interested to delve into that with you. From the clients that you work with, when do you think it makes sense to increase your tech stack? Let's say you use Clay quite a lot, and a lot of companies in the last probably 24 to 36 months, it's grown phenomenally. When do you think it makes sense not to use Clay versus actually when to use it? What I mean by that is like from scaling, is there sometimes that people like they should get their first, 10 customers, 50 customers, 100 customers, whatever it is, and then scale? Or do you think people that don't do it from day one, they're leaving some serious opportunity on the table?
I think it's both. And so I'll give you a real story from an actual conversation I had with a client this morning, and then also what I'm doing, and then also how I guide other clients.
Sure.
Let's start with the other clients. So other clients who are still getting their feet wet with this, it can't just go to go all in, spend the $800 a month or spend this. It doesn't make sense for them. We need to still redesign their offers, their pricing. And then to give you the point of why I mentioned what I'm able to do with the lead gen side, honestly, I've helped these agencies grow too. Like they would charge $5,000 a month, like a minimum $1,000 to $5,000 a month just for lead gen alone. I'm able to do that now with my agents. Just think about that. When you hire me, like I'm able to add more value that others would charge $5,000 or $10,000 a month. And I'm not charging for that because the value isn't just that. It's a transformation of the holistic.
Sure, and they can see the
That's
uplift.
what net new value is. So that's the framing. And we can talk about pricing because that's a whole slew of situations there. But going back to your question, when does it make sense? It really depends on where you are in the maturity of your business. And also depends like how quickly do you want to get there? For me, I pretended when everything started changing and I didn't want to be left on the sidelines. I'm like, I'm going to go all in. I started subscribing and paying for things that like I didn't need the most expensive plans. I just went for it. I took it like, oh, this is my quote unquote tuition to learn. And yes, there were days where I accidentally spent like $1,000 in an hour. Don't do that. But when does it make sense? I think you want to look at it as investment. And right now, my current test is like, I'm currently testing if I maximize my token usage and I try to get to the overage of the limit, am I going to be able to produce more quality or go faster or more revenue? I've already proven the revenue side. For me, that's just what I'm able to do is like, how do I leverage this technology to solve real world problems that produce real outcomes, either for myself and clients, and that revenue is real. But in terms of what tech stack to use, honestly, you'll see a lot on LinkedIn. Hey, I replaced Clay with the. Yeah, you can. You're still paying APIs. I think the key thing is
tokens as well.
Yeah, figuring out on your own is true, but you're also figuring a lot. To get where I'm at, literally with parallel operation and autonomy, it wasn't like a one-click install. It wasn't done for you. There was a lot of training or labor of to help develop this system to now it work. My Mac doesn't sleep, just put it that way. But my Mac doesn't sleep, which is scary and not scary. For my peace of mind, I turn it off over the weekends. But I think it really depends on your mindset as a leader. Here's the tool to get the job done. Do you want to work around it or do you just want to bite the bullet, learn quickly, fail fast, find what works, maximize that. And then also on the back end, what problem are you solving for? Now, on the flip side, to your question, you don't need to buy every single AI tool out there. You can actually build a lot of them on your own. And as a PSA, like a lot of the things that people are sharing, download my skill, get this thing, go my GitHub repo, like literally build a security agent or don't even do that. Just take whatever they're saying, put it on your agent or even on your chat interface and tell it, hey, recreate this for me or help me figure this out and then audit everything. Do not copy the code over because a lot of it is malware. I forgot the percentage, but like it's over 50%.
It's interesting. The other thing I think what we don't see now, and that's very true, is probably the whole security thing. And I think that's with vibe coding and everything, nobody really talks about that. And that's probably going to be an issue in months to come, maybe not. But I'd love to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned there about the agents that you run and the lead generation that you do. Can you just give us a very overview of that, of like how that would have worked before, pre-AI, pre-agents versus how it works now, just to give people an idea in terms of how it works, but also the efficiencies and the time savings that you have.
Absolutely. I'll give you two examples there and then one key broad stroke idea and framework that you need to dial home. So there's where your thinking ends and where AI's end and your thinking begins. You have to understand that difference. You have to understand where AI agents end and your thinking begins. If you don't, you will be replaced. Full stop. Second, you have to have done your methodology and your thing by hand hundreds of times or at scale or with real risk for you to actually know what good looks like. So these things that I've built, except the security one, because I had the security one audit all security agents and then figure out a way, like it was a huge collaborative effort since I'm not a security guy or expert. But a lot of these things for client deliverables or for my own work, like I've done by hand. The system's trained on 566 pieces of my own thinking, writing. I have over, I don't know how many we index now, but it's over 3,000 different interactions and different documents of IP that we produce. So the brain is a co-partner of my thought because I've actually written it down. So that's just a key thing to think about.
But also, I would imagine that you had a lot of these apps in place before AI, from running your agent, running your business.
If we're looking at a Clay sheet, like back in the day where you used to log into Clay, I still use Clay, by the way. But when you used to log into Clay to actually play around with things, it would be a Clay sheet. And then there's 12 different ways for list building. And again, this is my own IP that I have my own SOP for. There's 12 different ways that you can do list building. I can send that to you if you want.
Great.
12 different ways to build lists. Depending on the client, we would do that. So I would do that manually. And then from there, I would look at, okay, what angles do we want to take? What are other peripheral insights? So that I'd have a GPT deep research. What are other key signals that we should track? How do we track that in Clay? I would set that up. I would test, because you want to test everything, opinion. You want to test every single integration that makes sense to you. The ones that I really loved, I think, were like predictive leads anyways, there's a lot. And then I would find that. Then I would create a case study, like a thesis, and I would pull the API from OpenAI because 4.0 was still one of my favorites back then. So I would do the API, so I'd pay for it. And you want to pay because you want more limits. You want to spend $1,000 initially. So you'd do the API piece back then. And then for some intros or certain, like some writing, you want to definitely put in haiku. Again, I'm dating myself, but you want to put in sonnet or haiku from Claude. So you want to put those APIs on the Clay table. And then from there, you would review, you would manually check, and then you would either zap that into wherever the output was. If it's going to be in Google, if it's going to be on the sheets, if it's going to go to your LGM. I still use LGM, my growth machine. If it's going to be for like outreach, like multi-sequence outreach, then you would link it out there. You would zap it, you would test it, you would run it, and then you would do the quality assurance every 2 weeks or the habit of depending on, oh, we need new signals. And then obviously Clay now has the automatic signal detector. Sure. So that's a new upgrade. To do that, what I just described is easy. It's simple. It's not like groundbreaking, but it would take, I don't know, 10 hours just to set something, just to set it up. And then from there, the maintenance, even in some of my own work to produce a legitimate go-to-market strategy, 20 hours minimum. And that this would be even with AI because it was with clients, with agents. And this is not a lack of quality, not outsourcing thinking, because I still have my understanding. Just outsourcing your thinking. It's helping me go further, faster, better. And this is not an exaggeration, from 20 hours down to what's half a day nowadays? 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
That's pretty impressive. That's huge. What about the output on the end though, in terms of before, we're assuming then these are like large lists, emails, would that be the main thing? Or are these kind of like book to calls, or what's the end thing of the two where the next step is the human interaction? And what I mean by that is like these sequences that bring somebody on a call or an event or whatever. Is it like, does it depend on what you're trying to achieve, or is it normally there's a number of email touch points and then it's like you invite them on the call and that can be automated up until you get to the call?
Yeah, you want to strategize. I still think you should leverage the technology to be a co-strategy partner. Just to give you two real examples, for the one that I talked about earlier, that actual setup, the output was sending that to because these were larger sales teams, like global sales teams, send it to the sales leader, get the feed sales team, the sales team executes, they execute, I get feedback. We're able to record calls, I integrate that to the system. So it's a lot of like real go sell. Here's the lead, here's the list, here's how to do it. You have to go touch, because you can't really automate. Even to this date, I still have like qualms. Like you can automate it, but sometimes we can talk about this. Sometimes it makes sense for the first touch to not be automated. It's the output there. In other cases, for full go-to-market strategy, it's positioning, it's marketing, it's some of the inbound, some of the outbound that we just discussed, some of the leads, as well as your new, again, this is a more collaborative approach, but what are the offer stacks? How are we going to structure the offer? And that's mostly me because I know what sells and what doesn't sell. But then a lot of it is, here's the competitive landscape, here's the research. So a lot of that work taken off my plate. So it depends on the output for the client and the scope. These change, but I'm sharing what I'm doing.
And the agents, then you build them through Cloud Code or through a number of other AI providers?
I know this is through Cloud Code. Yeah, other tools to help them run, but I really appreciated Claude setup. But yeah, let me pull it up real quick. I have 9 agents. One is the chief, one's content, sales, ops, product, marketing,
and
design.
Are they all running then? Is it just like one window through terminal, or you just have kind of 9 different terminals open and they're just running consistently that way?
The terminal is more for efficiencies for days. So
okay.
Now I outlined this more in the Substack, but I have different heartbeats throughout the day. I don't even know how many skill sets. I think I have over 40 or if now 50 skill sets of how to do things. And then I also have auto researcher going on at nights. I have dream mode going on. I have the Soul MD set up. So essentially they run depending on what needs to happen. I've ran agencies, I've scaled agencies, I've run teams and was responsible up to 70 human beings in an org that I helped lead over 200 people, around 198 actually. I know what is needed to get jobs done, who to delegate to, what to execute, what good looks like. So each agent has, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 skills associated with them, different toolings that they can use, parameters. And then one of the key things that I built out was a chain review. So for example, right now, a lot of people run, hey, do this thing. And then the worker agent goes out and does the thing and then reports back, but there's no chain review. So I have worker agent.
It's not orchestrated.
It reports back to the manager agent. That report, the chief agent. Chief agent works with me. It audits itself. There's no way for it to escape because there's an audit trail.
Sure. But I guess from those kind of things, there's a lot of learnings in place to get the agent running efficiently on its own, then bringing in another one. No, if you're recommending people to do this, obviously to work with you, you're an expert in the space. But if people are trialing this themselves, what would be your tip? Start with one agent, get it right, and then try to scale it rather than doing something really big and ambitious initially.
Yeah. So again, start, what are the efficiencies you're gaining? Capture that. That's level one. Second is, how are you delivering value to the clients? Because that's your expertise. If you notice, all these agents are pretty much what I've done in agency work, growth and operations. The only one that's not really me is a security guy, because we audited a ton of GitHub repos and we just got it right. And plus, from working with CTOs and security experts at past firms and teams, I know what to look for. But everything else, I know what good looks like. I firsthand have manually done good or had teams do good looks like. So that's the easiest place for people to start. What is your expertise in? Where hey, that output is complete garbage, or hey, that output, wow, I can't believe it got there. It's 80% there.
I'd love to talk to you a little bit about content and how you see that, because you create an awful lot of content. You mentioned you have a Substack, you've a ton of content on LinkedIn, YouTube as well. How do you see then, apart from an operational base of AI, like on the back end, helping editing, thumbnails, all those kind of things, there's, I suppose, there's two sides of this really. There's one side of it's never been so easy to produce so much content with AI, but as the barriers to entry fall, then obviously the quality in some cases of content drops. But then some people would argue actually it's easier to stand out, because if you've really good quality content, it rises above the rest. From your perspective as a business driver, do you see now content creation still as a massive driver for your business, even despite that there's so much noise with AI content out there? Or do you think it's, once you do really good, it'll still rise above that anyway? Or like, how do you see it?
I still get business through content. So there's two frameworks or two bases of truth here. Number one, everyone listening here, you do have to think about your own thinking, which is called writing. It took me 2 years to develop the habit to write every day. Okay. Some days I don't write every day. Now I just think, and I use Voice. This app,
Whisper, no?
not an affiliate. I love it. It's like, even though I'm connected to the cloud a lot of the times, but I use Voice Inc. And
Voice Inc., that's another one. It's like Whisper, no?
I don't have to upload to the cloud. Anyways, I dictate, and I'm an audio person, right? I'm to audiobooks on go. So I dictate my thinking, and then I work with AI to chew through, or I have it interview me. Okay, this is something I'm seeing in the marketplace. Help me, because I know what matters to content. We also do content plan. Like I've done this with teams, like even teams in large orgs that 30, 35 grand a month to run content. I've captured that, and now I have agents help me. But content planning, hook and angles, research, et cetera. But the key thing is, what can I share that's more valuable? And I try to do more. I'm doing more YouTubes and video now, because yeah, you can fake it, but you can't fake it. Like a lot of people would do the fake video stuff now. That's great. But I'm trying to voice it. I'm trying to give you my real voice. I'm trying to give you my real YouTube. I'm trying to be as authentic as possible. And when I see a grammatical typo or an error, I'm going to leave it there so people believe or know that it's me. But like the latest 6,000 posts, I did that in a day, which is rare, legit a day. I dictated it. I knew the ideas. I knew where we needed to go. I wanted to share real examples. It actually wrote the examples for me, because it knows more about the system we built than I do. Like how, like the function, like here's how I architectized it. But I wrote it, or I spoke it into existence. And that's what I did with a book pre-AI. I don't even know, 2019, like the first book that I wrote. I was just dictating to Google Docs, and then I did the manual copy editing, which took months. But here now with AI, I can copy edit, and it knows my voice. So content, in my opinion, is important if, and this is huge, if you have something different to say, or how you think, or you're entertaining, or you're creating community, and you also want to see what Silicon Valley is doing. They know that differentiator isn't how many apps you can build or how many services. It's who's most popular, who's most liked, and who is most entertaining, or who has the most value to give. And the more podcasts being started now, things always dive into relationship, connectivity, and humanity.
And communities, I think, is a big thing as well now, especially niche communities. Are you seeing that also, that a lot of people are delving more into that because of the trust and the authenticity piece, that it's people that are in communities and are giving value with each other and that they're learning from each other? There seems to be people that are delving a lot more into that, at least from what I see anyway.
Yeah, but the communities that I see that are thriving with significant active posts, which are not, is the communities centered around a shared value, not a tool or a skill set or an outcome, but a weird or tangential or like obscure shared value.
Makes sense. Even like pre-internet, you could probably say the same thing to some extent.
It's just for humans.
It makes a lot of sense. Raúl, it was great having you on. I really enjoyed this conversation. I would love to have you back at some point for doing a part 2. I think there's a lot we can discuss. And before we finish up, do good work. We will link it on your Substack. Is there anything else, anywhere else where you're active, where you share content, where people can find more about you, about the content, about what you're working on? Where can people find you?
Absolutely. I think .io, that's the website. You'll see all my literally thousands of pieces of content there. You'll be able to access the Substack, the YouTubes, and LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. It is me, not an agent, that's going to talk to you. But yeah, I have everything housed in dogoodwork.io. And yes, I did use an agent in passing just for fun, like on the side. It's like, what if we test a new design tool? Can you redesign my website? And I was like impressed by it. Like, oh, we should actually do that. You friends, hey, which one do you like better? And they're like, oh, what's the new one like? I'm like, oh crap, like that one. So yeah, the website is redesigned. Call it crap or call it great. I don't care. I think it
Done by an
communicates what I
agent.
do well. Yeah.
I know, it's impressive. Raúl, thanks again for joining. It was great having you on and speaking to you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Cheers. Have a great day.